The Bench, and the Buddha. When Judge Judy mocked Keanu's faith and how silence shook the world, the studio lights, usually harsh interrogators themselves, seemed to hold their breath. The familiar, slightly abrasive theme music had faded moments ago, replaced by a tension thicker than Los Angeles smog. Millions watched, leaning closer to screens, fingers hovering over keyboards, hearts ticking faster than the studio clock. This wasn't just another celebrity interview on Judge Judy's hot seat. This felt like the moment before a seismic shift, a collision course between two titans of public perception, the razor-tongued queen of the courtroom and Hollywood's quiet enigma Keanu Reeves. Judge Judy Sheindlin, perched imperiously on her elevated set-piece bench, surveyed Keanu with the appraising stare usually reserved for deadbeat dads and contract breakers. Keanu, dressed in his signature understated dark suit and open-collar shirt, sat with a stillness that was almost unnerving. His posture wasn't defensive nor eager, it was simply present. He'd been discussing his latest film, a thoughtful drama about grief and connection, when Judy, true to form, had steered the conversation into choppier waters. "So, Mr. Reeves," Judy began, her voice sharp, cutting through the polite chatter like a gavel strike. "You talk a lot in interviews when you do talk about philosophy. Buddhism, finding peace, all that. Seems very ethereal." She paused, letting the word hang, imbued with a subtle skepticism. "Tell me honestly, in this world," she gestured broadly, encompassing the studio, the city beyond, the headlines screaming conflict. "With everything that happens, the wars, the greed, the sheer meanness out there, how does sitting cross-legged, chanting, or whatever it is you do actually help? Isn't it just escapism? A luxury for the privileged? Does your faith actually do anything tangible? Or is it just a nice story you tell yourself?" A collective gasp, sharp and audible, rippled through the studio audience. Camera operators instinctively zoomed in tight on Keanu's face. This wasn't probing, this was public dissection, laced with mockery. Judy leaned forward, her eyes challenging, a slight, knowing smirk playing on her lips. She'd thrown down the gauntlet, questioning not just his beliefs, but his integrity, his authenticity, the very core of the quiet dignity millions admired him for. The silence stretched. 1 second, 2, 5. It wasn't an awkward silence. It was a profound, resonant stillness. Keanu didn't flinch. He didn't look away. His dark eyes met Judy's unwavering stare. He didn't frown in anger or offer a placating smile. His expression remained calm, almost serene, yet intensely focused. Millions held their breath. Was he stunned? Formulating a cutting retort? Preparing to walk off? Social media feeds, anticipating fireworks, began to explode. So Judge Judy's Keanu, faith attack, Keanu silenced. Then, slowly, deliberately, Keanu took a deep, almost imperceptible breath. He leaned forward slightly, not aggressively, but with an air of quiet engagement. The studio lights caught the faintest hint of gray at his temples, the lines around his eyes that spoke of a life deeply lived, not just filmed. "Judge Sheindlin," he began, his voice low, steady, devoid of any defensiveness, yet carrying an undeniable weight. It wasn't loud, but it filled the studio, amplified by the preceding silence and the millions of ears straining to hear. "Thank you for the question. It's direct." A faint, almost rueful ghost of a smile touched his lips, gone in a blink. "You see a lot of humanity's ugliness from your bench. The greed, the pettiness, the cruelty you mentioned. You see people at their worst, fighting over scraps, hurting each other. I understand why the idea of quiet contemplation might seem inadequate. Like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic, maybe?" He paused, letting the metaphor land. Judy's smirk had faded slightly, replaced by a flicker of surprise at his calm acknowledgement of her perspective. She hadn't expected agreement, however nuanced. My practice, Keanu continued, his gaze holding hers, isn't about escaping the ugliness. It's about not letting it define me. It's about seeing it clearly, without adding more anger, more hatred, more fuel to the fire. He gestured gently, palms open. You see the fight in the courtroom. I try to cultivate the space before the fight, or after it, where understanding might be possible. Not always easy, often impossible, but I try. He leaned back slightly, his voice softening but losing none of its intensity. Is it a luxury? Maybe access to certain teachings can be, but the choice to try and respond, not just react, to see the person behind the anger even briefly, that choice is free. It costs nothing but attention. He looked directly into the camera now, his eyes seeming to connect with every single viewer. You asked what it does. Tangibly. It helps me show up, here, now, for this conversation, without needing to win it or make you wrong. He glanced back at Judy, a look devoid of challenge, only simple acknowledgement. It helps me listen, even when the questions are sharp. It helps me remember the person asking them is also just trying to navigate this difficult world. He paused again, the silence returning but transformed. It was no longer tense. It was charged with a profound, unexpected gravity. Does it stop wars? No. Does it fix every broken contract you see? Probably not. But maybe. His voice dropped almost to a whisper, yet it resonated powerfully. Maybe it stops one moment of unnecessary hurt. Maybe it allows for one moment of unexpected kindness, where there might have been anger. Maybe it helps one person feel seen, just for a second, instead of judged. And if enough people try that, maybe the deck chairs aren't the only thing that changes. Maybe the course does too. Slowly, imperfectly, but surely.
Keanu Reeves finished. No grand gestures, no dramatic exit. He simply sat back, his calm presence filling the space where defensiveness or fury was expected. The silence returned, thick and stunned. Judy Sheindlin, the woman renowned for never being at a loss for words, stared at him. Her usual arsenal of sharp retorts seemed momentarily useless. She blinked, once, twice. The smirk was entirely gone, replaced by an expression utterly unfamiliar on her face. Contemplation. A flicker of something unreadable, perhaps respect, perhaps simple surprise at the sheer lack of ego in his response. The audience remained frozen. Then, one hesitant clap started near the back, another joined, then another. It wasn't the roaring ovation for a punchline. It was a slow, building wave of profound recognition, a collective exhale. Applause for grace under fire. Applause for an answer that wasn't an argument, but an invitation. The viral tsunami. Before the applause even finished crescendoing, the digital world detonated. Twitter imploded. Keanu response rocketed to global #1 within minutes. Tweets poured in. Keanu Reeves just taught the world a masterclass in grace. Judge Judy met a Buddha and didn't even realize it. That silence, that answer, I'm not crying, you're crying. He didn't defend his faith. He lived it in that moment. Clips of the silence, then Keanu's answer, were shared millions of times. Instagram flooded, quotes from Keanu's response. It helps me show up. The choice to respond, not react. Maybe it stops one moment of unnecessary hurt, became instant captions over serene landscapes, pictures of Keanu and Buddhist symbols. Fan art depicted Keanu as a calm mountain facing Judy's storm. TikTok analyzed. Creators dissected the micro-expressions. Judy's initial smirk, the flicker of surprise, the uncharacteristic contemplation. They slowed down the silence, adding poignant music, highlighting the profound stillness before his words. The power of pause became a trending sound. Headlines screamed, Keanu's karma, silence stuns, Judge Judy. Reeves's Zen response obliterates Sheindlin's skepticism. Beyond the bench, how Keanu's faith silenced a judge. the viral moment where kindness won the argument. Religious and philosophical leaders. Weighed in, Buddhist teachers praised his embodiment of right speech and equanimity. Interfaith leaders highlighted the universal message of responding to hostility with presence and compassion. Psychologists discussed the power of non-defensive communication. Media frenzy. Every major news outlet scrambled for analysis. Pundits debated. Was Judy wrong? Was Keanu too passive? But the overwhelming narrative was one of admiration for his composure and the substance of his answer. Late-night hosts replayed the clip, comedians finding humor mostly in Judy's rare moment of being speechless. Fan testimonials, countless stories emerged. People shared how Keanu's words resonated during personal conflicts. One tweet, "Saw my ex today. Wanted to scream. Remembered Keanu. See the person behind the anger. Didn't scream. We actually talked. Small change. Huge." Another, "Used it helps me show up as my mantra in a brutal work meeting. Stayed calm. Got the project." Behind the scenes, the making of a moment. The interview had been pitched as a coup for Judge Judy's hot seat. Landing Keanu Reeves, notoriously private and selective, was a major win. Judy, known for her no-nonsense approach, had intended to cut through the usual Hollywood fluff. Producers had anticipated discussions about his action films, his longevity, maybe his motorcycle company. His quiet spirituality, while known, wasn't the planned focus. Judy's question hadn't been scripted malice. It was pure Judy, skeptical, practical, challenging what she perceived as nebulous idealism in the face of the harsh realities she witnessed daily. She expected deflection, perhaps a canned spiritual platitude, or maybe even defensive pushback, something she could volley back with her trademark wit. She was utterly unprepared for the depth and quiet power of his response. Keanu, sources close to him later revealed, anonymously, respecting his privacy, hadn't prepared for that specific line of questioning. But his answer wasn't rehearsed. It was reflex. Years of meditation, study, and navigating profound personal loss, the deaths of his best friend River Phoenix, his stillborn daughter, and later his partner Jennifer Syme, had forged a resilience centered on presence and compassion. Facing Judy's skepticism wasn't a battle to be won. It was another moment to inhabit authentically. The impact went far beyond trending topics and memes. Reeves's legacy cemented. If Keanu was beloved before, he was now practically sanctified in the public eye. He became more than an actor. He was a symbol of decency, humility, and quiet strength in an increasingly noisy and antagonistic world. His box office appeal solidified. Studios recognizing his unique brand of grounded heroism resonated deeply. Judge Judy's nuance. While some criticized Judy harshly, the moment also revealed an unexpected layer. Her visible contemplation after his answer showed she heard him. Subsequent episodes saw a slight, almost imperceptible softening at times. She didn't become a Buddhist, but the encounter subtly challenged her own certainties. Ratings for her show predictably soared. A cultural conversation. The incident sparked widespread discussion about faith, spirituality, and how to navigate disagreement. What does meaningful faith look like in the modern world? How do we respond to hostility without perpetuating it? Keanu's answer became a touchstone for these discussions, cited in articles, podcasts, and even sermons. The value of silence. In an age of instant hot takes and reactive social media, Keanu's powerful silence before speaking became a potent symbol. It highlighted the value of pausing, collecting one's thoughts, and responding from a place of calm rather than reflexive emotion. Acts of kindness movement. Inspired by Keanu. As maybe it stops one moment of unnecessary hurt. Online movements encouraging small, deliberate acts of kindness gained momentum. One moment of kindness trended globally, with people sharing stories of choosing compassion in daily interactions. Keanu Reeves, true to form, never capitalized on the moment. He declined countless interview requests to dissect it. When asked obliquely in later interviews, he'd simply smile faintly and say things like, "Everyone has their perspective. It was just a conversation," or deflect with humor, "Judge Judy keeps you on your toes." He continued his work, donated anonymously to charities, and was photographed giving up his subway seat or helping stranded motorists, living the quiet philosophy he articulated under the hot lights. Judge Judy, in a rare moment of reflection during a later interview, commented, "He surprised me. I throw hard balls. Most people swing for the fences or duck. He just caught it calmly and threw it back softer. Made you think, annoyingly effective." It was as close to an admission of being bested as Judy Sheindlin would ever give. The clip remained permanently etched into the digital landscape. It wasn't just a viral moment. It was a cultural artifact, a reminder that strength isn't always loud, faith isn't always showy, and the most powerful response to cynicism can sometimes be profound, unwavering kindness. Years later, on a bustling street in New York, a young woman recognized Keanu. Instead of asking for a selfie, she simply said, her voice thick with emotion, "Thank you for that answer. It helped me." Keanu paused, met her eyes with that same deep, quiet presence, and gave a small, genuine nod. "You're welcome," he said softly. "Keep showing up." He walked on, blending into the crowd, leaving behind not a fanfare but a lingering sense of calm, a testament to the day a Hollywood icon faced a judge's scorn and responded not with Hollywood ego, but with the quiet, world-shaking power of a Buddha on a talk show couch. The ripples of that moment, that profound silence, and that gentle, world-weary wisdom continued to spread, one quiet act, one chosen moment of kindness at a time.